Hello students, I am Dipankar Bhomik and you are watching my YouTube channel Interesting Math by Dipankar Bhomik. So in this class we will talk about what properties of integer. Very important topic it is. Properties of integer. So properties of integer it is having two parts. Properties under addition, okay, under addition and under multiplication. Multiplication, okay, means all the properties of integer, these are applicable only for addition and multiplication, and for subtraction and division these properties are not applicable. What are these properties? That means we are going to talk about it. Okay, so first of all we will discuss what properties of integer under addition, then we will discuss with under multiplication. Okay, so first of all we are taking what properties under addition. Okay, properties under addition. So what is the first property under addition? That is closure property. What is closure property? A plus B is equals to C. That means what? Sum of two integers will also be an integer. That means if A be an integer, if B be an integer, and if we will add these two integers, then we will get also an integer, that is C. C means also an integer. If we will add two integers, then we will get also an integer. Do check it. Suppose 1 is an integer, then 2 is another integer, it is also integer, positive. This is also positive, but if you will take one positive one negative, also correct. If you will take both negative, also correct, no problem. Any integer you can take. Okay, so 1 plus 2. Now we have to, what have to do? We have to add these two integers. To add it, so 1 plus 2 is equals to what? 3. That means 3 is an integer or not? 3 is also an integer. So that means what is the statement of the closure property under addition? If we will add two integers, then we will get also an integer. This is the closure property of integer under addition. Okay, now next property is associative property. What is associative property? So to apply the associative property, we need three integers. Suppose we are taking A, B, C. Now if we will add first two integers first, and then we will add with the third one, and in second case if we will add the last two integers, then we will add the third one, then we will get the same answer. That means what we have written, A plus B within a bracket plus C is equals to A plus bracket B plus C. That means what? Suppose I am taking an example, that is, suppose three integers we have to take. Suppose 1, 2, 3. You can take any integer here, no problem. Okay, so first of all we have to find out what A plus B plus C is equals to what? A plus B plus C. So A is equals to 1, B is equals to 2, C is equals to 3. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equals to what? 3 plus 3, that means 6. Now if you will add by this order, that means for last two integers we will add first, then we will add with the third one, first one. So first one separate. Now B plus C, that means 2 plus 3, then 3 plus 2, 5 plus 1 also 6. That means what? If we will add three integers by any order, that means we are adding with the first side, and here we are adding with the last side, then we will get the same answer. And this is the structure of the associative property. Okay, now the next property is what? Commutative property. Okay. The next property is what? Commutative. What is commutative property? Suppose I am taking two integers a and b, and if we will add these two integers, and in next case we will add these two integers like this order, then we will get the same answer. Take an example. Suppose I am taking 5 and 6. Okay, so a plus b is equals to what? 5 plus 6, that means what? 11. And b plus a is equals to what? 6 plus 5. A is equals to 5 and b is equals to 6. Okay, so we will get what? Also 11. That means in the both case we are getting same answer. That means what? For the commutative property, order doesn't matter. Whenever we are talking under addition, then for the commutative property, order of the numbers doesn't matter. And in associative property also, associative, this TIVE, this one. Okay, for the associative properties also order doesn't matter. Also already you have seen here. And the next property is what? Inverse property. And this property is also known as property of zero. Okay, property of zero. Actual name is inverse property, but this property is also known as property of zero. So what is this property? Suppose I am taking a. So what should we add here with a? Then we will get 0. What should we add here with a? Then we will get 0. Obviously this is minus a, because why? A plus minus a, that means what? A plus into minus, minus a, so a minus a, 0. Okay, so what is this property? That means if we will add an integer a and its inverse element, that means minus a is what? Minus a is called what? Additive inverse. Additive inverse of a. Okay, here write down like this. Okay, minus a is additive inverse of a. This minus a is additive inverse of a. Okay, and this 0 is what? 0 is what? Inverse element or additive identity. Additive identity. And you are getting some new terms here. Okay, additive inverse, additive identity. These are very simple terms. Try to understand. Okay, I'm telling. Whenever you will have a here and you have written a minus a, that means you have what? You have changed here plus a, and you have here taken minus a. That means you have changed the sign only here. So this is called the additive inverse of a. That means this element will be the additive inverse of this element, and 0 is called what? Additive identity. So from here we can have some new types of questions. Suppose I am taking 2, and additive inverse of 2 is what? Minus 2. Suppose minus 5, additive inverse of minus 5 is equals to what? Only 5. Here minus, so here will be plus. Okay, so this is the very important term. These are the additive inverse. Okay, so these are the properties under addition. And first of all, you will pause the video to note down it. Then we will show the properties under multiplication. Okay, so pause the video to note it down. Now we will know properties of integer under multiplication. Okay, and the properties as we have done for the addition, this all properties we are having also for the multiplication. Okay, that means the same property we are having for multiplications. Okay, that means for additions and for multiplications we are having the same properties, but little bit we have to change. What we have to change? Now here we are talking about the multiplication. That means at the place of addition, now we have to put what? Multiplication. Now what is the statement of the closure property? That means product of two integers will also be an integer. Suppose I am taking 1 and 2 integers. Now if we will multiply these two integers, then 2 ones are 2, that means 2 also be an integer. Suppose we are taking another, suppose 3. Okay, 3 is an integer, 2 is an integer, and when we will multiply this 3 and 2, then we will get what? 6, which is also an integer. That means what is the statement of the closure property? Product of two integers will also be an integer. Okay, product of two integers will also be an integer, and this is the examples of closure property. Okay, now associative property, same thing we have to do. Structure will be same, but whenever we are talking about the multiplication, so we have to change the sign only here. Okay, and structure of the property will be same here: multiply, 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 and multiply. So what are the properties? Same property: a into b into c is equals to a into b plus c. Suppose I am taking here, we have to take here 3 integers to check this property. Suppose we are taking 2, 3 and 4. A is equals to 2, b is equals to 3, and c is equals to 4. So first of all, a into b into c. Okay, we are taking this part, a into b into c. That means what? 2 into 3 into 4. That means what? 3 to just 6. 6 4 are 24. Now we are taking this part, a into b into c. That means what? We have to take 2 separate and 3 and 4 together. So 4 3 ja 12, 12 2 ja also 24. So we are getting what? Same answer. And so this is the property. That means what is the statement of the associative property? If we will multiply 3 integers, then order doesn't matter. We can add these 3 integers by any order. Okay, now commutative property, same conception, just we have to change the sign whenever multiplication. So here will be multiply sign. Now do check. Suppose 6 and 5, a is equals to 6, b is equals to 5. So a into b is equals to what? 6 into 5, that means 30. And b into a is equals to what? 5 into 6, that means also 30. So here order doesn't matter also. Okay, so what is the statement of the commutative property? If we will multiply 2 integers, then order doesn't matter. Okay, now inverse property, this property will be totally changed. This property will be totally changed, and the another name of this property is what? Property of 1. Whenever we are talking about multiplication, under multiplication, then inverse property will inverse property are having the another name. What is it? This is the properties of 1 or inverse property under multiplication. Okay, so what is the property? So a into, that means we are talking about multiplication, so a multiply. Now we have to take the multiplicative inverse. So what is the multiplicative inverse of a? 1 by a. Don't put bracket. That means what? 1. So now we are comparing the inverse property of addition and inverse property of multiplication. To compare it, then it will be clear to you that what are the things going on here. Okay, so a and minus a is what? Inverse element of a, that means additive inverse of a. So here a and 1 by a is what? Multiplicative inverse of a. 1 by a is multiplicative inverse of a. Okay, and here minus a is what? additive inverse and 1 by a multiplicative inverse. Okay, that means whenever we are talking about the multiplicative inverse, that means what we are doing, we are taking the reciprocal of this element. Okay, and here 0 is the additive identity. Whenever we are talking about the inverse property for addition, then 0 is what? Additive identity, and 1 is what here? Multiplicative identity. Multiplicative identity. Sometimes you can't understand my handwriting, so that I used to tell everything whatever I'm writing. Okay, I used to tell everything whatever I'm writing here, because sometimes you can't understand my handwriting, then you can note down all the things according to my talking. Okay, so 1 is what? 1 is multiplicative identity, and 0 is what? Additive identity, and 1 minus a is what? Inverse element, additive inverse of a, and 1 by a is what? Multiplicative inverse. So take another example. Suppose here multiplicative inverse, and here additive inverse. Additive inverse. Okay, suppose we have to find out. Suppose we are taking 3. So what will be the added multiplicative inverse of 3? That means multiplicative inverse means we have to take reciprocal. So 1 by 3. And what is the additive inverse of 3? That means what? Minus 3. Okay, try to understand the difference between it. Suppose I am taking minus 5 by 6. Okay, suppose minus 5 I am taking. So what is the multiplicative inverse of minus 5? Minus 1 by 5. And what is the additive inverse of minus 5? Only plus 5. Okay, so at the time of multiplicative inverse, you have to take what? You have to take the reciprocal of it. And at the time of additive inverse, you have to take what? Just opposite sign of it. Okay, so first of all, pause the video to note it down, then we will talk about the further things. So these all properties for addition and multiplication, we have got how many properties? 4 properties: closure, commutative, associative, and inverse property. And these properties, all properties, 4 properties, are applicable only for addition and multiplication, and for subtraction and addition these are not applicable. These all properties are not applicable for subtraction and division. So that I have written here, these all properties are applicable only for addition and multiplication, not for subtraction and division. Why? Suppose I am taking the closure property for subtraction. Okay, suppose for subtraction, what is the closure property? For subtraction, it will be the closure property. So take 2 integers 1 and 2. So a 1 2. Okay, 1 and 2. Now a is equals to 1, b is equals to 2. So 1 minus 2 is equals to what? Minus 1. That means you will also get an integer. That means for subtraction, closure property is applicable. But for, suppose I am taking commutative property. Commutative. Suppose what will be the commutative property for subtraction? A minus b is equals to b minus a. Just whenever we are talking for the subtraction, then you have to take the negative sign, means minus sign. Okay, now to check it, suppose I am taking a is equals to 5, b is equals to 6. So a minus b is equals to what? A minus b is equals to 5 minus 6. That means what? Minus 1. And b minus a is equals to what? 6 minus 5. That means what? only 1. So minus 1, a minus b is equals to minus 1 and b minus a is equals to 1. These are not same, so this is not correct. That means these are not equal. We can write it as not equal to b minus a. A minus b not equal to b minus a. That means for subtraction commutative property not applicable. For associative property also, for that means for subtraction associative properties also not applicable. And like the same way you can check for division also, this all properties are not applicable. Okay, so that these properties are applicable only for addition and multiplication. Okay, now first of all pause the video to note it down. Now we will have the last property. What is it? Distributive property. Distributive property, last property it is. Okay, and this distributive property is not for addition and not for multiplication. This distributive property is related with the addition and multiplication both. Okay, this distributive property is not only for addition and multiplication individually. Okay, and what is this property? A into b plus c. What we have written here, a into within bracket b plus c is equals to what? A into b then plus a into c. Okay, what we have done here, a into b plus c, if we are having, then a into b, first term we have to take what? A into b, then this plus will come here, then a into c. First of all a will multiply with b and in second a will multiply with c. Okay, and this is the distributive property. Okay, now to check it, suppose a is equals to 1, b is equals to 2, c is equals to 3. So a into b plus c is equals to what? 1 multiply 2 plus 3. That means what? 1 into 3 plus 2, 5. That means what? 5 1 ja 5. Okay, now in right hand side what? A into b plus a into c. So a is equals to what? 1 into b is equals to 2 plus bracket a is equals to what? 1 into c is equals to what? 3. 2 1 ja 2 plus 3 1 ja 3. That means 2 plus 3 is equals to 5. So we are getting what? Same answer. So this is called the distributive property. And one thing you should keep remember, that these all properties we are not having only for integer. These 4 properties we are having for whole number also, we are having for rational number also, we are having for natural number also. Okay, so these are the properties of integer, and in next video we will discuss about the further things of the integer. Thank you for watching my video.